experience in equity. Oops, hello.
I'm sorry to interrupt you on that. I always
No problem.
just jump right in.
It's not you, it's the robot. But I also have a lot of training and experience in equity, inclusion, and justice, and I bring a social justice lens to all of my work. I've been doing this work for about 16 years. Many of my clients are the soil and water conservation districts, governments and utilities. I also work for the extension services and a whole host of nonprofits. And the reason I'm here is much of my career has been spent working on community-based natural resources projects, but I've also worked with agricultural communities and producers. For example, in the past 3 years, I've been conducting a farm worker housing study for the state of Oregon for the Housing and Community Services Department. And that included ag market research, demographic research. We did housing research and interviews with 80 farm workers in Oregon and also their employers, the ag producers, and then some agency experts as well. And that work's going to be used to take policy requests to the state legislature to help support farm worker housing needs in Oregon. I also had a project where I interviewed more than 100 rural landowners and ag producers in Washington County as part of a market research project for Tualatin SWCD. Shout out to Nicole. And then also I recently completed a season as an intern for Rogue Farm Corps. I was at Peachwood, thank you. I was at Peachwood Orchards out in Hood River. And that was a transformational experience. I did that partially because I do have a farm dream of my own, but also largely to learn more about the experiences of small and beginning sustainable farmers, just more firsthand. So through all of that, I've learned a ton about the struggles and barriers that small farmers are facing. And I'm super inspired to take on more projects that work to understand the systems at play and advocate for policy change to support folks doing small sustainable ag in Oregon. So I am here to get to know all of you that I don't know and get to know better some of you that I do, and just hear about your work and learn about any ways I can support you in your work. So in case you want to know anything more about my work, I can ask Andrew maybe to put my website in the meeting notes, but also please feel free to reach out to me anytime directly. I would love to have a Zoom or coffee, take anyone out for coffee sometime. I'm also probably going to be applying to the Masters of Public Policy program at OSU right now for next fall in the rural policy focus. So maybe we'll get a chance to work together through that universe too. But thanks for having me. Good to meet you.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. Cool. Who else is new here? We got Rose Highbear, Elderberry Wisdom Farm. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. I know you're working on a really important land access grant. But we
Yes.
we want to hear about your programming and your work and what you're doing down there, Marion County, right?
Yes, thank you, Andrew. It's great to see you again. I just saw you yesterday in another committee.
Yeah.
My name's Rose Highbear. I'm Alaska Native. I'm Degaton Dene, or they can call me Alaskan Athabaskan. They can call me a Caribou person. And I'm also a part of Nupiat. And so I am a breed. I look like a little white lady, to be honest with you. But I've been working in Oregon for decades, graduated from OSU a long time ago, over 50 years ago. I run Elderberry Wisdom Farm, and people say, well, Rose, what are you farming? And I go, oop. Actually, we're farming Native Americans. It's a farm in quotes, but we do have a crop of blue elderberries. We have an 11-acre farm up in Aurora. We have a native plant nursery we're farming. So we have an awful lot of things we're doing. The whole focus is to include Native people, their career pathway into agriculture or horticulture or anything related to the whole habitat restoration world. And so I was in Portland for 30 years at Wisdom of the Elders, but now I live rurally. I'm much happier. All my neighbors are Christmas trees and vineyards. And so I'm just restoring our properties down here and helping Native people to own their own businesses. So we're expecting that these teams of Native people will have their own, they'll become owners, operators of their own micro enterprise. It's farm businesses, it's native plant nursery, it's we even have the Blue Elderberry Farm, which is producing a value-added product, blue elderberry syrup. So I could go on and on, but that's basically what we do here. I'm really enjoying my work, and my staff is quite small now. There are just 5 of us, but we are growing. And we're also trying to gain land for Native people to own their own piece of, their own sacred landscape. Thank you, Andrew. It's
Yeah,
good to
thank
see
you. Would you mind just sharing, I don't, and you don't have to if you don't want to, but you're applying for that unique land access markets and capital grant to USDA for underserved communities.
Right.
Would you share a little bit about that, if you want?
Yes, the
Yeah.
whole focus is, of course, gaining land for a few of the farmers who are close to landless. And so we are, focusing on getting down payments. We're focusing on getting technical assistance from a number. I think I have like 11 partners, and some of you are here today. And so I've been really excited to see people supporting us and our efforts. We're just so little, and yet it's so important that Native people have a voice in the future of our ecosystems, and that they have, that they're working out in the local environments, restoring, I guess you could say, biodiversity to our farms using Native techniques. And so we're just very excited, to be honest with you, to be integrating traditional ecological knowledge with all of the Western science that all of you bring to us. And it's just an awesome experience to see all of us working together to accomplish that. And so I'm hoping USDA likes it. We're very conservative. I only asked for like $1.2 million or something like that. Just that's in a 5-year period. That's what we can currently achieve with USDA. So we had to be very careful. I didn't ask as much as I needed, but I do believe that we might be successful with this. We'll know in March.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I really value you taking the time to join us here. And I think we have a lot to learn from what you're doing and who you're working with, and a lot to learn from traditional ecological knowledge and how it can inform the food system space. So thank you so much.
Thank you. It's amazing.
Yeah, great. Soraya, thanks for joining us. Please introduce yourself and the great work that you're doing.
Hi, everyone. My name is Soraya Arslan, and I work with Adelante Mujeres. I am the project manager for our regenerative agriculture and food sovereignty projects. And yeah, I've been in the role for about 6 months, and I've been meaning to make several of these meetings, but this is the first time that I've been able to join. So thanks for having me. And at Adelante Mujeres, our programs, we have a lot of educational programs around regenerative agriculture for folks that want to grow their own food, and for folks that are super motivated and want to start their own farm business. We also have a full range of different technical assistance and business coaching that we do with them. Within the organization, I work really closely with our Empresas program to support those farm businesses and doing the simple things like registering to the more complicated, like accessing capital. So that's, kind of what we're up to. And at the moment, we're really focused on our food access program. So we run a farmers market that gives the farmers we work with the opportunity to develop that direct market relationship with folks in the Western Washington County communities of Forest Grove and Cornelius. And as I'm new to Oregon, but coming from California, and here in Oregon, farmers markets are seasonal. So what do folks do when the farmers market ends? And right now we are working with a group of farmers to source the food that they still have. So purchase the food that they still have and divert that into local food pantries. So that's been a great project we've been working on recently. And as of now, I think that's, we have a lot going on, but right now just kind of making that connection between beginning farmers and food access programs, I think has been like a key focus for us at the moment.
Great. Did I see a recent award that you all got from USDA? I think yeah. Did you mention that? Sorry if I missed that.
Yeah, I'm still learning all of the different programs, but we are a recipient of the USDA 2501 program for that support that we are providing to farmers and to continue that regenerative agriculture education. And then we also received a UAIP, sorry, I'm still learning all of the acronyms, but around like urban agriculture. And that is to, this program has been around, I don't know if you all are familiar with Alejandro Tecum, who is our regenerative agriculture education specialist. And so he has been leading this program for over 15 years. And this grant the UAIP grant will give us the opportunity to really boil it down into a guide. We've got a lot of great resources, but how do we make it user-friendly and accessible to the Latino community? So yeah, that is what that grant will allow us to do, as well as have different focus groups with youth to see if there is a potential of developing a youth program with a similar focus.
Awesome. Congratulations. That's great. Thanks for being here. And then, so I'm probably prioritizing all the new folks to the group, so they are right up here at the top for new from my time. I only started here in April, so. But Alex, welcome to this space. I'd love to hear about your work with the Coast Fork Willamette Watershed Council, right?
Yes. Yeah. So hi everyone. My name is Alex. My pronouns are she, her, and I work for the Coast Fork Willamette Watershed Council in Cottage Grove. But my project that I specifically work on is headlining the Working Lands Program, which is a new program that helps farmers, ranchers, and landowners gain access, whether that's through funding, on-site assistance, technical assistance, to transition to more regenerative land management practices. The scope of our work spans across watershed councils, actually. So we're housed at the Coast Fork, but we work with the Mackenzie Watershed Council, the Middle Fork, as well as the Long Tom. So we have a pretty big service area that we're trying to tackle. And our work is, again, relatively new. This program has just seen some inkling of beginnings within this past March. But we do have a program launch coming in January. So you'll probably be seeing a lot of outreach that our program will be doing to try and get the word out there with different farming focus groups. Which is why I'm kind of here today, just to introduce myself and just spread the word about the Working Lands Program and how we hope to provide assistance and or partnerships with local organizations to try and increase the amount of resources we can provide to landowners in the area. So I look forward to meeting you all and talking more about what you do and where you are and who you help. And yeah, thanks so much for having me today. Thanks, Andrew.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. I saw a flyer when I was picking up my CSA box yesterday. You're doing some outreach to producers in your area. These are a group of folks working across the state with a wealth of connections and knowledge. Do you want to share that survey and we can help you get it out to our contacts if that's helpful?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been doing some tabling at the South Valley Farmers Market, as well as we have a date at the Lane County Farmers Market. We're trying to just gauge impressions of producers, vendors, and also market attendees to understand kind of what the market attendees have in terms of a relationship to agriculture, what they know. Right now, one of our projects is conducting focus group meetings with the local farmers in the area to understand how we can make this a program that is more farmer-centered and driven to not just be another program that farmers have to join, but something intentional for them to actually receive long-term benefits and assistance with. But yeah, I can definitely share these surveys with you if you have any farmers in mind that y'all would want to pass this along to. We're just trying to gain impressions of how we can make this program a little bit more inclusive and also driven towards longevity of program participants. So I can share that with you, Andrew, and you can get the word out to all the contacts. Awesome, thanks.
Great, thank you so much. Yeah, I hope folks reach out to Alex and kind of share resources. There's a lot out there, and I think this group could be beneficial for what you're doing. Cool. Well, should we go with volunteers? Who wants to go next?
I can chime in. I've got 4 things. Number 1, I love seeing you all in this group and its evolution, and it's not just caffeine that's giving me energy, it's all of you, and I'm just so grateful for everyone being here and what we can make happen. So thank you all. I really do love coming to this meeting. Second thing, this group helped to design and put out a Oregon Farm and Ranch Equity and Anti-Racism program. And so I'm going to put a link in the chat box. We now have 3 opportunities to come together with others who are engaging in this online curriculum to have discussions. And so if you've been looking for a little bit of motivation to get in there and register for that online curriculum, this might be just what it takes, because then you can come together and chat with others. There's one end of November, one in December, and one in January. And the way these will be structured, it really doesn't matter where you are in the curriculum, as long as you've kind of gotten in there and started to see what's in there. We'll break up into subgroups, we'll have some conversations, and also like find ways to really connect with one another around this content. So I'll put that in the chat box. And if you have any questions about this, or this is the first time you've heard of this curriculum or program, reach out. I'd love to chat with you about it. Also, we're starting to see organizations kind of engaging individuals in this in different ways. And so there's just a lot of flexibility with how you and your organization can participate in this program. You do have to register through our OSU extension link, and it can be a little cumbersome. So if you have any issues, let me know. The second thing is I have the honor of being part of this Women for the Land collaborative 3-year project, really looking at women veterans entering into farming in particular. And I'll put a link in the chat box that has information about the program. And also at 12 today, if you are looking for something, we have a live stream panel that we're hosting that's really sharing out the initial findings of the report on women veterans entering farming, and some voices. I'll be one of the panelists, but really referring to the others, talking about kind of what we need to do to better support women veterans who are trying to farm. And so I'll put that link in. And then, oh no, what was my other thing? Oh, the other thing, so Oregon State Extension, we are recipient of the Beginning Farmer Rancher Development Grant. We have a lot of different pieces of the grant we've applied for. Some of it's actually tied to this group. But one exciting piece, I just came out of a meeting, we're going to be putting together some online modules around climate resilience and climate adaptation for farmers over the next few years. And so this is definitely going to be something we'll be reaching out and working with, hopefully many of you, and engaging in this process of trying to figure out what's the most important information to get out to our farmers as they're starting to implement strategies for climate adaptation. So just wanted to share that that's what a chunk of our funding is going towards, and hoping to have a lot of videos of farmers and really sharing their voices and their experiences of what they've been implementing and what's been working. So that's all. It's good to see you. And I'm so sorry I will not be able to make the convening in the winter. Hopefully I'll be having a baby right about then. So I will be so sorry to miss all of you at that time, but I hope that it's a really amazing gathering in Salem.
Congrats, Tegan. That's amazing. Super exciting. And thanks for that great update. Yeah, I'll share that. We have our climate resilience subgroup this afternoon, and if you don't mind, I'll make sure to bring up the BFRDP and that resources that you'll be putting together. I'm sure some folks will be interested in that in there. Great, cool, so much cool stuff. There's a lot of funding coming in. USDA is prioritizing this work. It's great. Who's next?
I can go next. I don't know if I can follow Tegan, but I can go next. She's always so excited. Andrea with Oregon Agricultural Trust. I've actually just been with the organization for a couple of months now. I'm the education program director for working with Nellie. And my focus for the group is a farmer rancher education on succession planning and easements, and then also service provider education as well. So working on putting together some workshops and appearing at some cool events, such as this little thing called the Small Farms Conference coming up in February. So really excited to be a part of this group and doing this work with farmers and ranchers. That's all I got.
Well, I can follow on that, Andrea. Thanks, Andrea. Nellie, also with Oregon Ag Trust. We're so excited to have Andrea on board and to be really focusing on our educational efforts, not only to beginning farmers and ranchers. When we talked with young farmers, chapter of the Oregon Farm Bureau a couple weekends ago and had a really great conversation there. But Andrea's putting together curriculum for around easements, around succession, around all different kinds of situations. So just reach out to us if you'd like us to help coordinate that kind of a presentation. We can be totally flexible to what your audience is and what their needs are. We're also super excited to be part of the Beginning Farmer Rancher Development Program grant, along with FOF and Rogue Farm Corps. I think there might be a time to talk about that as a whole, so I'll just leave it at that. But that's going to allow us to really lean into that work and partnership together to help with especially non-familial succession transitions. And then we are honored and thrilled to be a partner on potentially 4 different land access USDA grants, including one with Rose High Bear, one with East Multnomah Soil and Water Conservation District, one with Outgrowing Hunger, and then as a supporter on one with Black Oregon Land Trust. So yeah, just think of us as a partner if easements, working lands, conservation, and succession are a factor in anything you're working on.
Awesome. Did I see you applied for some easements on some ranches with the Oregon Agricultural Heritage Program?
Yeah, we have 3 applications in the hopper there, and this is the first round of applications that the Oregon Agricultural Heritage Program is taking. I can describe that in detail if folks ever want to hear about that, but these are working lands conservation easements that remove development rights and are helping young farmers access land and older farmers pass it on. So 2 of them are in Lake County. One of them is for a probably 5th generation ranch, for the next generation to be able to afford the property and buy out some of the leaseholds that they have. So they're going to use the funding in what's called a 1031 exchange. So they're going to be able to buy land income tax free. The other is to help a 1st generation rancher in Lake County purchase more land next to him and infrastructure. And then the other is for a multi-generational rancher in Columbia County, but she's purchasing her own farm next to her family's farm. And this is staving off imminent development and expansion onto that property and the habitat and the Columbia Slough along with it. There's 4 other awesome projects around the state through that program that are in the running.
Great. Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, I think that work you're doing is super unique, and I learned a lot from you when you were talking about the value of easements and keeping land affordable, and it's a key piece to the land access conversations that we have. So thanks for that update.
I can jump in here. Hey, everybody. My name is Matt Gordon. I use he, him pronouns with Rogue Farm Corps. I'm the education director. Nice to see you all today. So I work on our apprenticeship programs where we partner with commercial host farms in Oregon to host aspiring farmers at their farm, train them, educate them, supervise them for part-time or full-time positions, spring through fall. Typically, some of the positions are shorter depending on what the host farm needs. We are making some changes in the apprenticeship program for 2023. One is that we're merging the internship and apprenticeship programs all into something called apprenticeship, which we feel more accurately describes what the positions are at most of our host farms, being that they're counted on as labor for the farms and they are in commercial production. They're all also all going to be waged employment. In the past, we've had some of the internship positions have been stipends. Housing is not required to be provided. If it is provided by a host farm, we ask them to have a separate written residential agreement. And we're opening up our host farm applications to any host farm in anywhere in Oregon rather than just in our chapter locations where we have staff. Currently, those are Portland and the Rogue Valley. But since we have some of our educational events that we run in conjunction with these apprenticeship experiences online, and then we run a few weekend intensives of farm tours that involves camping, and we feel like we can provide at least some educational and networking opportunities for apprentices who are distance and not in our chapter locations. And we're going to try it and see how it goes. And so far we're right now in host farmer recruitment and review. Well, I guess we're just at the end of host farm recruitment phase for next year, new host farm recruitment, and we're in review phase. And I got a good amount of applications in from folks who are not in our chapters. I think I want to say about 8 or 10 host farm applications. So pretty decent. I was actually surprised at how many came in. So that was great. And so yeah, currently in reviewing host farmers for next year, our apprenticeship applications will open up in early January. So you'll all be hearing from us when that goes out so you can help us spread the word. And I guess a couple other things. We are starting a new program in 2023 in the Rogue Valley in partnership with Family Nurturing Center Farm. They're a nonprofit and have a farm that we've been partnering with, but we're going to be running a program where instead of the host farm being the only mentor, really on-farm mentor, we're going to have our Rogue Valley chapter coordinator also go out to the site on 2 days a week when the cohort of 5 aspiring farmers are there on site at the Family Nurturing Center Farm to be a co-mentor, co-leader, additional support, additional educator, supervisor. And in that, the other big change there is that we, as Rogue Farm Corps, with the host farm positions, we don't make placement decisions. So we haven't been able to prioritize marginalized or underrepresented demographics in the application process for these positions. And so with this new program, we'll be able to have review applicants and make placement offers with Family Nurturing Center. So that's exciting. We're calling that the Regenerative Farming Fellowship, and we'll be doing more outreach around that in January as well. We've had some good debrief meetings with our host farmers from this past season, and some of the main issues that we're hearing about, you won't be surprised to hear, are finding housing for farm labor, healthcare for farmers and farm workers, and just generally finding enough folks to help on the farms. So the idea of a Oregon or farm ranch job board or email list again came up. We're also looking to schedule out some winter trainings for host farmers that will also be open to other farmers. So if anyone wants to talk about partnering on any events or trainings for farmers, let me know. We tend to focus on trainings around being a good employer, mentor, leader, HR type stuff, nuts and bolts, as well as sort of more I guess you would say like providing a good employee environment. And then also we're interested in providing some trainings on improving soil health practices, climate resiliency practices. So yeah, if you're interested in any of that, let us know. We like to partner, so it's not as heavy of a lift. And then I'm still trying to, as I have capacity, do research on ways that we can help secure funding for farmers who are hiring people who are new to agriculture, help offset the cost to them for training them. So if you're interested in that, let me know. If you've worked with any workforce development boards that have experience in ag or not, let me know. And I think that's about it for me. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Matt. In your interviews or conversations with your host farms, has the ag overtime bill come up as a challenge or a hurdle for any conversation there? No.
Has not, yeah.
Yeah, I've started a outreach tool to help provide some information on what that could mean for smaller farmers, and interested in hearing what other folks are saying about that. Cool.
I can jump in on the Rogue Farm Core train. Jeffrey Van here, he, him pronouns. And probably like the first big update is that what I have been working on, the program, the Changing Hands program, we have officially renamed and are open to sharing it with the world. We're now calling the Changing Hands program the Future Farms program. So you may have already received some communication about that. You may receive more communication about that, just kind of sharing with the world that the program is the same, but the name has changed. What is that? What did they say in marketing? Like new look, same great taste or whatever. That's what we're dealing with here. And just to give everyone a quick rundown of like how these programs break down. So basically what we realized is that, the Changing Hands program, the work that we were doing was increasingly moving towards working with beginning farmers and ranchers on sort of business technical assistance work, recognizing that our partnership with organizations like Friends of Family Farmers and Oregon Agricultural Trust was growing. So, at the beginning of the Changing Hands program, there wasn't that much, there wasn't as much sort of organizational capacity behind this work of linking entering farmers with exiting farmers, providing sort of the business technical assistance. So now that is all fleshing out and we're all finding our collaborative spaces together, our programming has, increasingly shifted towards that beginning farmer side. So we have sort of three main bodies of work. One is the Changing Hands workshops, which is going to keep that same name and is one of the ways in which we're providing education and networking between beginning farmers and exiting farmers. That is coming up in February. We're going to have one workshop, day-long workshop on February 11th. That would be in Bend at the Central Oregon Veterans Ranch. And then on February 25th at the Chemeketa Community College Ag Complex. So we've started sending out save the dates. We will be relentless in pestering everybody about outreach for that. So just know that that's coming up, and it's an awesome opportunity to for beginning farmers to begin to meet and network with landholders who might be thinking about transitioning their land out of their own ownership, or at least their own management. Many different arrangements, all important for the sort of continuing preservation of farmland by keeping farmers on the land. Then we have Farm Launch, which is ongoing. We started in October, so we're about a month and a half into our second round of running this cohort of 13 beginning farmers who are all working on building business plans. Really excited to have expanded that. Last year, we sort of graduated with 9 beginning farmers, and so we're expanding that. It's a really cool program. I'll share more about that I'll drop it in the chat. And then finally, we just offer in general technical assistance, one-on-one technical assistance to beginning farmers who are, again, working on building up their businesses. Part of this goes to our training program graduates, recognizing that one in our training programs would be exposed to a whole host of the production techniques and practices. But if they plan to go on to have a professional career in agriculture, whether working for themselves or maybe managing another farm operation, that there are many more skills and learning gaps to fill. So we kind of jump in there as as coaches, and then also working with the farmers at Headwaters. We started doing that this year and it worked out pretty well. And we're talking to Rowan about how to continue that into next year. Working with more of the beginning, like the farmers in the 1st to 3rd year range. And apart from that, last thing, I promise, we are increasingly interested in, we have been and are putting more thought around collaborative models. This is something that we've talked about in OCFSN and in another subgroup, and seems to be increasingly, people are curious about it because it appears to be one of the ways in which we can address the financial inaccessibility of farmland. But there's not, and then of course, all the other benefits of farming together. There's not a lot of, the information and the research and the resources around this are kind of dispersed. So we are working on sort of building out a plan, course of action to bring some of that support to the farmers in Oregon. It's kind of in its budding stages. And I think, Tanya, maybe you'll be mentioning this in your little update, but you're going to have a workshop track at the Small Farms Conference on this. It's a topic that is, exciting and new, and we just want to share that we're putting some of our resources behind it to try to, make it a priority.
Well, I'll go next just to clarify or tag on to that last piece there. Tanya Murray, I'm at Oregon Tilth and I'm focused on farm viability, and I work primarily with farmers that are beginning farmers, but in sort of the later part of beginning farmers. So I do some work with Headwaters Farm, but for farms that are kind of past the 3-year period there. I've partnered with Dee and the Oregon Food Bank farmers a bit last year, and I'm hoping to continue some of that work. And also I'm looking at doing some one-on-one business technical assistance with farmers up at Viva Farms in their incubator program. And then beyond that work, probably my biggest focus has been on a project that some of you are familiar with called Know Your Cost to Grow, which is a program for diversified vegetable farmers to help them understand their cost of production and make better business decisions with that information. That was produced through a partnership with OSU's Center for Small Farms and Community Food Systems. And we are going to be doing a kind of self-paced / hybrid release of that for 2023. So for farmers that are wanting to engage with that, there'll be a little bit of direct support, and then also just the option to kind of work through those modules on their own. I also have a couple odds and ends SARE grant projects, one looking at organic hazelnuts and supporting some growers with a cost of production analysis on that. Again, really aimed at business decision making. In terms of the cooperative / collaborative conference track, yes, that I believe, Andrew, you might fill in on this, but I was hearing from some farmers, as Jeffrey mentioned, just interest in that topic as a way to have a more viable business, both I think from the land access perspective and also from the potential for ultimately, I think, sharing resources and costs and I think the community support. And so I proposed that as a conference track and kind of got the ball rolling, and then realized, as I do sometimes too late, that I had way too much going on. And Andrew graciously has accepted the role of at least trying to keep the ball rolling on that. So it's still in development. Hopefully something will happen with it. But I passed the torch. I lit the flame and then passed it quickly. So I think those are all my announcements for today. And I just wanted to appreciate when people have been able to on this, having your cameras on. I gave 2 talks this week, and I would say mostly cameras off, and it just is unenjoyable. So I know it's not always an option, but it's really nice that most people are able to do that today. And it really makes the sitting at your desk, talking to your computer monitor and watching it more enjoyable. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I was going to say that at the end too. I agree. I noticed that we had such a great engaged group of folks here today, and I want to second that. Thank you all for doing that. It's really awesome. I can give a quick update on, since we're just talking about that cooperative workshop at the Small Farms Conference. I've been talking to a lot of folks. Dee and I have a conversation tomorrow. I had a call before this meeting with Faith Gilbert, who wrote the Cooperative Farming Guidebook, Frameworks for Farming Together. I'll share a link for that in the chat. It's a really cool tool and resource. And I've been communicating with Jana Ludwig, who's with the North Coast Food Web, who has deep cooperative development experience and is a trainer for interpersonal communications and structures building for strong cooperative organizations. So we're talking to a lot of different folks to kind of see where the interest is, and meeting with Maud and Tegan and Tanya on Tuesday to figure out if we're going to actually be able to put something together for the conference. So still, just thinking about it and making connections. And I feel like this conversation is really interesting and a thorny one. Talking to Faith today, she's started multiple cooperatives, and they've changed and morphed, and they often will fail in the first couple of years, changed it out of a cooperative enterprise model. I think even just doing this research, if we can't get a workshop off the ground for the conference, it's still valuable to help inform the work that we're all pursuing. Cool.
I'm happy to go next. Everyone, Dee, I use they, them pronouns. I'm the farm program manager for Oregon Food Bank, where I provide direct support to farmers in our Pathways to Farming program, which is a farm incubator program for beginning farmers of color. And some of those farmers also farm at Unity Farm, which is right next to the food bank off of 33rd in Portland here. And I do a lot of direct site support for that farm as well. So that's kind of my role. Also, our internet's kind of been going in and out, and the power just dropped randomly. So if I magically go away, that's what's going on. Still love y'all, still want to show my face. And yeah, got a couple updates to share with everybody. So we have a new member that we just welcomed to the program, Tara Violetta of Sun Moon Farm, who has been farming in cooperative with the Racine Farm Collective, and has also been on site at Unity. So we're really excited to welcome Tara into the program. They are stellar at what they do. And then in continuation of the USDA land access grant that everyone has been mentioning, just wanted to name that the food bank was providing some support, and oh geez, the energy is flickering. Okay, we'll see what happens. That the food bank has offered support in the form of letters of support and some support through my role specifically to Black Oregon Land Trust, as well as the proposal that East Multnomah Soil Water Conservation District put out. And yeah, but honestly, whoever gets that grant, we're like really excited to support that work and to send folks to whoever gets that grant. So really excited about that opportunity. And in terms of what's going on right now with the farmers in the program, we're really just reviewing the 2022 season and wrapping things up. I don't know about y'all, but this season was pretty rough for a lot of people. Some folks in our program were also displaced from land at the beginning of the season. So as you can imagine, like having to leave land you've been tending for several years and then having to start anew is just terrible. So land access continues to be something that we're focusing on. Grateful to hear all these different opportunities that people are supporting. And yeah, just a request that I have for the group too. I've spoken to Tanya a little bit about this already, but tax support is something that continues to be a strong need for folks in our program, and specifically someone who has a strong equity and racial justice lens, and can talk that language and also like approach that work with respect when working with our BIPOC beginning farmers. So if anybody has good resources or accountants or anybody that you'd recommend, I am very happy to receive that information and to provide better support to the folks in our program. Also wanted to lift up the OSU equity and anti-racism work that's being done. Myself and Sarah, my colleague, are making our way through those modules as we have time. And we're also attending the Soul Fire Farm Uprooting Racism training and really excited about that. Happy to share more out about that once we complete that. That'll be next week. And then the last thing I wanted to share is this great Growers Fund grant that is really more my colleague Sarah's wheelhouse. But I did want to update folks that, take a look at the doc. If you have questions about it, I can refer you to Sarah because they really have, better knowledge about it. But what I did want to update folks on is that we are now accepting or offering grants to folks that are medicine and flower producers. So really expanding beyond vegetables, as many of the growers in our program actually grow medicine or flowers. So wanting to meet that need where it is. So really excited for that update. And yeah, also just echoing what Tegan was sharing earlier, like being in this space is like really energizing for me. And it's really nice to be in community with everyone and hear about the work that's being done. And, the world's wild. So it's just great to see everyone trying to make it slightly better every day. So yeah.
That's awesome, Dee. I don't know if I'm last. I think I'm close to last. Andrea, you still haven't gone too. Nicole Ruggiero from the Tualatin Soil and Water Conservation District, and I work in Washington County. Couple updates from the Beginning Farmer angle that I wanted to share. I don't think this is secret, but we haven't told anyone yet, so it feels kind of like I'm unveiling something and Heidi isn't here, so hopefully it's okay. But we just started talking, Heidi Nordic at OSU Extension and PCC Rock Creek, about a small farms school on the west side. Many of you are familiar with the one that we've done in September in Clackamas County at Clackamas Community College. So it'd be a similar approach, but it would be offered in the spring on the west side, not to be in competition, but just to allow more access to that sort of event. And if you're not familiar, it's similar to the Small Farms Conference, but it's more of a, one day, get your hands dirty, longer sessions that are interactive. And it's aimed at new and beginning farmers in sort of the 1 to 5 year, if I just had to put a definition around it. Anyway, Rock Creek really approached us. They have a vet tech school there, and that because of that, they have a farm They don't really have an ag program at PCC Rock Creek, but there's a lot of momentum around including that in their curriculum. And so this is maybe a way to help the administration see that there's a lot of interest in this and that they have a great facility for that. There's a landscape program there. They have a learning garden and lots of great infrastructure to support that kind of program there. Also, Master Gardeners is hosted out of there. So we're looking at late March, probably, trying to fit it in amongst a number of other events. Tualatin SWCD has also in the past, in partnership with West Multnomah SWCD, done Soil School. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's a little more 101 and aimed at the like urban gardener, small farm kind of population or audience. So we're looking to really make these two events distinct and maybe even advertise them together to say, like, are you looking to convert your yard to vegetable production? Maybe you should go to Soil School, or are you managing a new farm at, the 1 to 5 acre scale? Maybe you should go to small farm school. So anyway, more information on that. Some of you may be approached to help us promote or speak or whatnot. So just keep your eyes out for that information. We're also going to be running a land steward program this spring, and that's another OSU extension program that is aimed at new and beginning farmers, but also maybe a little bit more towards the little broader, like new and beginning land managers. So there's a forestry or small woodland component to that program as well. So we'll be running that program. It's an online, mostly with a couple of field days. And that'll start probably around April. So if you know people that would be interested in that and live in Washington County or work in Washington County, that would be great. You can send them our way. I think, Andrew, you mentioned a lot of the exciting USDA funding that's been coming out recently. And we have a meeting next week with NRCS to get a better understanding of what that funding picture looks like for Washington County. USDA funding is exciting, and it's really great to see this support for new and beginning farmers, land access, and especially some of the climate smart practices that they're including. But if you've ever worked with NRCS, it's not just a grant and money to go do what we want. It's working through their program. So it's really important to have a good working relationship and understand what that looks like. So I'm looking forward to learning more about that next week, and I can share that in a future update. I think that's it.
Great. Sorry. Yeah, I think that's really important with the NRCS. I've heard that with the Inflation Reduction Act, there's a good amount of money coming down. And from ORCAN's recent workshop, when they had the NRCS person on there, they were like, yeah, we're working on it. They didn't have a lot of information about the huge amount of money and how it's going to be prioritized and moved out. And I'm really sad to report that we've lost Kathy Fergie, our USDA Beginning Small Farms and Ranchers contact and liaison. And it's on my to-do list to make sure we get her replacement engaged in this space. So just we're definitely going to keep working. If folks have relations or connections with folks at USDA, make sure to inform them about this group. It's really valuable to have their engagement. Sorry, Andy. Go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. Can you hear me? Because my mic is not okay. If I go out, just don't let me talk to nobody. Perfect. So I'm Andrea, which is confusing. So I also go by Andy. So there's that. And I work with the High Desert Food and Farm Alliance. I work on our agricultural support programming. And I feel like we've been in project development, implementation, and go for a long time. So at this point, we're kind of just maintaining a lot of our existing programs and projects under, especially our BFRDP. But at this point, I'm really excited about the fact that we're continuing our mentorship program into a second year. So we launched this last year, and it's peer-to-peer, one-on-one support with more experienced farmers and ranchers in a really flexible program where beginning farmer ranchers can sign on and get paired with a mentor. And we've gotten some great feedback from a couple of our mentors and mentees that this has been a super valuable way to not only build relationships, but like create that foundation for our beginning farmer ranchers that either have like specific support that they need or want like personal skills that they want to build. So I'm really excited about that. And looking forward to adapting that in this next year as one of our main programs that we're upholding. That's kind of my main update. Nellie, did you have something?
Yeah, Andy, I just wanted to ask, do you have like a curriculum or good training program around mentorship, especially for the older farmer mentors? Because teaching and mentoring isn't something that comes naturally to everybody.
So the program itself is not curriculum based. So essentially when someone indicates their interest in being a mentee or a mentor, they indicate these are the areas I have expertise in, or these are the areas I'd like to grow in. And we kind of pair people based on that and the social skills aspect of it too. And we are targeting the under 10 years of experience. You do have to have land to be able to participate in this or have access to it for the upcoming season. So it isn't for people who are looking for an apprenticeship or working on someone else's farm. This is my farm and I'm looking to grow and build a resilient business. But it is targeted more towards the beginning farmer rancher side of it. I'm looking to get people that are the 3 to 6 year experience, because those folks are going to have a foundation of knowledge, but also are going to be seeking more maybe technical skills or business savvy skills that they've identified as their areas of need. There was discussion when we were implementing this as a kind of reciprocal relationship, and I think it inevitably becomes that a little bit too with our mentors, but that's not the target of the program itself.
Great, thanks, Andy. I want to invite Dwayne to share. Hey, Dwayne, welcome. I was excited to see you register for this event. Just to give you a heads up, we're the Beginning Farmer Rancher Subgroup of the Oregon Community Food Systems Network. And yeah, feel free. Folks are sharing the programming and work that they do in supporting beginning farmers and ranchers across Oregon.
Yeah, good morning. Sorry I was late. I had a mandatory training I had to attend. My name is Dwayne Lane. I'm a descendant of the Yakama Nation, which is Central Washington, but I live in the Portland metro area, and I work for the Oregon Native American Chamber of Commerce. Although we are now regional, we will be known shortly as the Northwest Native Chamber of Commerce. And I specifically am a resource navigator. I assist and work with small businesses that want to get started or expand. And I concentrate heavily on agriculture, horticulture businesses. And I also am a small business owner myself. I own a native plant nursery. I'm in an incubator program in Gresham at Headwaters Farm, and I work with previously Rose Hyber and Jeffrey. I see some familiar faces. So yeah, this kind of stuff that I do at ONAC or the Chamber is anything from legal assistance, entity structure, to advising and getting training on bookkeeping practices, to graphic design and improvements, website development, and if they are looking to expand, getting them prepared for either their finances, prepared for a loan, or to add employees. So that could potentially be steps of getting your books set up for payroll, and or talking to an attorney again. So yeah, kind of a variety of different resources that we have available. So very excited to be here. And again, I apologize for being late.
No problem. Thank you so much for taking the time. I shared the meeting notes in the chat, and we'll put up a recording to this meeting. So if you want to look back,
Thank you.
yeah, no problem. So that's going to be available to the big list. I think there's, gosh, 50 some folks on just this subgroup list. So there's a lot of folks who look at this stuff post meeting as well. Yeah, I think we covered, I think that's everyone. Thank you all so much. What a great update. I'm really excited and pumped by this meeting today. I think this is stellar. So thanks for all your awesome work. I think we covered the OSU Small Farms Conference. Nellie and Andrea are working on some land access workshops as well through the BFRDP. That was recently awarded the transferring Oregon farmland, and Friends of Family Farmers is putting together a training that Sylvia does on finding land and best practices and things to look for when farmers are looking for land, which is a really great training. I don't know if y'all want to add to that, but I keep an eye out for those details. And a couple of things for next meeting and future efforts in this space. The Farm and Land and Viability Subgroup, that's not right, Farm and Land Viability Subgroup did a challenge clinic last month. That was super fun. Tanya was gracious enough to lead us through that. It's a really cool meeting style where we focus in on one specific challenge that someone is facing or an organization is facing in this work. And it's fast-paced, timed, both the presentation and then questions and then brainstorming solutions. And we could do one of those at a future meeting if that's interesting to folks. If someone has a really a challenge that they're struggling with and want some increased brain energy on that, reach out and I'll remind folks about that. I think it was a really uplifting and energizing meeting. So I think we'll do more of those. And thanks to the OAT staff for offering on that meeting the succession planning support for farmers to complete their successions plans challenge. That was good to go into more depth. Our next meeting is in February. I think it's scheduled for February. We meet quarterly, and that we'll probably cancel that one because of our gathering convening is right before that. Teague and I were talking about potentially moving that to January if folks have time or interest, and I can send out some details about that to schedule and doing some more kind of visioning of what we want to do as a group, and if there's any pieces to the work that folks are looking to collaborate on or have a desire to get more support or engagement on. It's something that maybe is not quite in reach right now. We could focus on that, or we can meet in February and be together as folks are available. Tegan, I didn't quite characterize that as well as you did when we were talking. Do you want to add? Or not?
It's just given that option, yeah, to see if there's interest. And
yeah, I'll follow up with the team.
Not everyone might be able to attend in February, so it could be an opportunity to have an additional engagement. Was also just thinking, January is a pretty great time to come together as we have a little bit of time of reflection, and there's often that energy of looking forward as well. So
cool. That's what we have for this agenda. If y'all are busy, give you some little bit of time. And thanks for being here and all your great work.
thanks, Andrew, for keeping us all rolling and getting all the pieces together. It's really been phenomenal to have your coordination and has made a huge difference. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Y'all are great to work with. Fun group. Cool.
Bye.
See you later.
Good
Bye.
to see you all.
Bye.
Thank you.
How'd it go? That was a fire hose, huh?
Yeah, I think I got like 70%.
That's so helpful. That's amazing. I wanted to make sure I didn't say this beforehand that like it is stressful trying to keep up with everyone, and we have the recording, so we can go back and fill in pieces. And yeah, thank you so much for helping with that. It really helped me be able to pay attention and like think about what people were saying in more depth and ask questions to help like dive in a little bit deeper. I haven't been able to do that while I'm like taking notes at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So thank you so much for that. I can imagine it's stressful. I hope it's not over too much, and
No.
whatever gets written down is just like adds hours to me in the back end reviewing stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Um,
Great.
I just kind of put all of what people said into the introductions and icebreaker section. So yeah, feel free to
Yeah, we'll
move it
we'll copy
or-
that over. Yeah, no worries. And
Okay.
yeah, I'll read through. I think that's it though. I think I'll read through and add what I have, and
Okay.
then I'll send it out, and I'll see you this afternoon. Your
Yep.
game for cool, awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
that one's going to be less of a round robin and more focused from a couple presenters.
Okay. Sounds good. See
Cool.
you later.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.